Good morning. This will start as a joint meeting of the Board of Supervisors and the Public Safety Funding Committee. I will call the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors informal meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman. Supervisor Hickman.
Here.
Supervisor Gates.
Here.
Supervisor Galvin, have you joined us yet? He will join us remotely shortly. Supervisor Gallardo will also join us remotely. Chairman Sellers.
Here.
Thank you.
Chairman Lewis, would you like to call the roll for your committee?
Yes.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I call to order our Public Safety Funding Committee, and we'll begin with our roll call.
Chairman Lewis.
Here.
Councilman Robinson.
Here.
Chief Butler. Chief Tobin.
Here.
Jason Barron.
Here.
Marissa Calderon. Here. Matt Kenny.
Here.
Dr. Noggle.
Here.
And Barbara Broderick. We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Chairman Sellers, I'll proceed. Our agenda item number 3 on our committee agenda is I will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of our October 10th and November 7th meetings. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, with that motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll move to agenda item number 4, which is our presentation. And let me see if our slide presentation appears. Okay, perfect. Thank you. To Chairman Sellers and board members, we thank you for allowing us to present with the committee here today. You called us together as a Public Safety Funding Committee in anticipation of the expiration of the jail excise tax. We are here today to provide you information about the work we performed, our findings, and our recommendations. Our binders contain an executive summary and tabs that address each section we will speak to you about. As you know, the Maricopa County voters approved a 1/5 of a cent sales tax in 1998 and approved an extension in 2002. This tax is set to expire in March of 2027. The board, the county attorney, the county sheriff, and the presiding judge of the Superior Court appointed citizen members from a variety of backgrounds to the committee. Our job was to review the uses of the detention fund, look at the emerging issues, and review funding options. Let's see. This slide provides an overview of our activities. First, we would like to express gratitude, and I see many behind me, to the departments that participated in our meetings over the last 9 months. During this time, we organized 12 public meetings, visited various facilities, took part in probation ride-alongs, and implemented an outreach strategy that included public webinars and a survey, all culminating to our last meeting where we adopted recommendations to be presented to you today. Here are some of the photos of committee activities that I described over the last slide. And committee members, you look great in those photos. The next 2 slides will summarize the committee's work. We engaged an outside consultant who reviewed all detention fund expenses for fiscal year 2023 and categorized each expense. They found that 99% of the detention fund expenses are mandated through statute, court order, or the constitutional provision, including the administrative costs of complying with these mandates. The committee also heard from Arrington Watkins Architects, who completed a jail master plan and a juvenile facility assessment. These assessments identified capital needs and maintenance costs over the next 15 years to be between $1.6 and $2 billion. The committee heard from the County Supervisors Association, who informed us about the different authorities and limited options counties have under Arizona law, including that Maricopa County can only levy and collect a sales tax if approved, or if authorized by the legislature and approved by the voters. Finally, we received a memo from Rounds Consulting Group that informed us that because of the mandates, not pursuing an excise tax extension would likely lead to significant property tax increases that would still be deficient. This would likely lead to a decrease in services and negatively impact economic activity in the region. After our research was completed on November the 7th, the committee unanimously recommended that the board pursue a 20-year extension at the current rate of 1/5 of 1 cent. The committee also compiled some policy recommendations for your consideration. We developed 4 categories. Again, the full list is in your binder, but I will summarize them here in a few slides in the interest of time. For reentry, community services, and coordination, we recommend building partnerships for crime prevention and reentry, collaborating with the state on Medicaid and waivers for individuals pre-trial and pre-release, and working with the state and other partners on efforts to strengthen the behavioral health system. In programming and courts, we suggest securing funding for probation and diversion programs, maintaining treatment standards, coordinating initial appearance hearings with the City of Phoenix, and reviewing juvenile placement policies for improvement. Further, we recommend continued funding of operations from the detention fund, the replacement of outdated facilities, improvements to the intake, transfer, and release facility, enhanced security at the Durango campus, and maintaining juvenile detention facilities. Finally, we recommend regular assessment of capital needs, addressing workforce shortages through recruitment and retention research and initiatives for detention officers and mental health substance use professionals, establishing a citizens oversight committee to monitor detention fund usage and the implementation of recommendations, forming a long-term internal working group to tackle issues requiring further research and collaboration. Before I conclude our remarks, I'd like to take a moment to personally thank the dedicated committee members to my left and to my right, and representing the committee, to thank Danny DeHogue, our director, Paige Gonzalez, our consultant, Emily Krager, our legal advisor. And I will turn to the committee to see if any of you wanted to add any additional comments.
Just our thanks to you as the chair, and Jason as our vice chair for guiding us through this process.
Thank you, Don. Any other committee members? Okay. Thank you, Chairman Sellers. With that, before I adjourn our subcommittee, anything else that needed to be covered before we turn it back to you?
Let's see, we've made a motion on item 2. Is that after you adjourn?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I will officially. Oh.
I think they should make the motion and then after that.
Okay. Please.
Okay. I would entertain a motion on item 2.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Supervisors accept the recommendations of the Public Safety Funding Committee.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you. And at this point, with that agenda item taken care of by the Board of Supervisors, I adjourn our Public Safety Funding Committee meeting.
Thank you so much, Chairman Lewis. Now that the committee has finished their business, I would like to take a few I would like to make a few comments and then invite my colleagues to say a few words. After that, we will take some pictures. First, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to serve our community. What a phenomenal group of people we've had on this committee. You know, I know most of you from the work you do in our communities, and you are absolutely the best of the best. And this has been such an important task. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your service. You all have your own careers, and I know it was difficult to find the time to participate. So thank you all so much. Now a few words about the folks who served on behalf of my district. I'll start with my friend, John Lewis. When I was asked who I thought would be able to chair this committee and help create a great product, I immediately thought of John. Very little goes on in the valley that John isn't a part of, and I know this didn't make your life any easier. But you accepted the request to serve, and I couldn't be more appreciative. Thank you, John. I'm proud to have you as a friend and as our chair of this committee. So thank you. Now, Councilmember Robinson. You were gracious enough to step in when Dr. Carter had to withdraw. I remember that we had a little panic when we were trying to find somebody who had the experience and background to be a real asset to our committee. But one day, Danny came into my office and said she had the perfect person to fill that role. We went over your background, and I couldn't believe we could find somebody who has a law enforcement background, serves in the city of Phoenix, our largest partner on many issues, including public safety, and was willing to put in the time to study the issues and help this board move forward. That is the true definition of a public servant. Thank you. Now I'll turn the floor over to my colleagues. But before I do, let me just mention quickly that I appreciate Danny and Paige so much for all of their efforts. What an amazing job they've done in organizing and managing this process. We couldn't have gotten this done without your help, so thank you. I'll turn this over to my colleagues.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd echo the comments. Thank all of you for coming and putting in so much hard work on this important issue. And Jason, thank you for being my appointment. Kimber Lanning, thank you for the work that you did for the business community and taking a look at this. And I would also just like to remind everyone, Paige, Danny, 10 years ago, we saw this coming as a board. As a chairman, I walked into Senate President Andy Biggs' office with, at that point, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, as well as County Attorney Montgomery, to talk about the vital role that this jail tax played on not just keeping our community safe, but also keeping the inmates safe, keeping our law enforcement officers safe in the jail system, and hearkening back to why this jail tax even exists. And it's to help pay to keep the entire community safe. So I do note that County Attorney Rachel Mitchell is here and Sheriff Skinner, and I hope that soon to be Sheriff Sheridan will understand. I think they do. This money comes from our community to keep us all safe. It comes from our community to help the businesses perform a vital function and providing service and products without losing the things off their shelves. So again, thank you all. It's extremely important to this extremely conservative, fiscally prudent board that that our legislature understands what's going to be asked for them. So many times I've seen this can kick down the road for people to make hard decisions when it comes to fiscal prudence. So I hope they listen with all ears open as you, pillars of our community, understand and have worked so hard to get us to this point. So thank you all for being here today.
Supervisor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank everyone on the committee for their involvement here. To me, this is really representative government at its best. You all represent different folks in the community, different backgrounds, and we can complain about the fact that we're the only county in the state that has to go out to the legislature to have the right to go to the public. But as opposed to complaining, we've actually used it as an opportunity to provide more transparency. So we thank all of you for your involvement. I want to particularly highlight a couple people. As a former member of the Phoenix City Council, I can't help but thank Councilman Robinson for his involvement. But I particularly want to highlight the efforts of Chief Tobin, a representative of District 3. I thought it was really important, even though we don't provide fire service at the Maricopa County, to have fire represented. We're talking about public safety. And so to have your involvement, your experience, and the Daisy Mountain Fire District, which really represents a very fast-growing part of the county, I think you really gave that unique perspective of the future, right? Because this is a project about the future, the next few decades, which is why it's so important. And I always love seeing fire and police together like this. Anyway, so I definitely wanted to highlight that, and as well as the whole team. Great to have Paige back and the whole team and everyone, Danny, the work that was done, and appreciate Craig Sullivan being here from the county supervisors as well as Ray Billett from the courts. Thank you for your involvement here, because this really is about the future, whether we're talking about the county attorney's office, the courts, or throughout the county. This funding is going to be vitally important. And in the end, it's the people who are going to decide whether this tax is going to continue. But what's important is that they have the information, the facts moving forward, and really what the needs are. And you all on this committee have helped us to determine what those needs are. And we thank you and appreciate, as has been mentioned already, you taking time away from your very important schedules. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor. Did we lose Vice Chair Galvin's connection? Okay. Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. And just want to reiterate what everyone has pretty much mentioned. Just a big thank you to everyone that has been engaged in this really critical issue that we need to be able to take to the voters. I do want to say there was a comment that Supervisor Gates threw out there that struck me when I was listening right now, and it's totally true. This is about the future. This really is. This is about how the fourth largest county in this country moves forward when we start dealing with public safety. And it is so vital that not only that our law enforcement, our county attorney, that they have the resources and the tools they need to be able to keep everyone safe. And it's totally critical. But there's another side to it that I think we'd all agree on. And how do we address some of the issues of folks going into our jails? How do we prevent that? How do we start dealing with recidivism? How do we start dealing with folks coming out of our jail system and making sure that they're given the programs and services they need in order to be successful? It's a total package, and that's what I think is so critical as we move forward. It's not just about incarceration. It's not just about locking people up. Yes, it's about public safety, number one, but it's also, there's another side to it that is so critical. I know my time there at the legislature, one of the issues that would bring both parties together at the legislature was criminal justice, and how do we address recidivism from a statewide perspective. And it was always something that there was always working groups, people looking at on both sides of the aisle. How do you address that? And I think this is a part of it, a tool that can be used to really start addressing folks from a behavioral health, mental health side. These are issues that really can be addressed under this huge umbrella. So thank you to everyone that has been engaged and part of this. I want to thank Marisa Calderon for being the District 5 representative. I know when we came up with this type of a review committee, I was looking for someone from the social service area. Real quickly, turn to Chicano's Public Access, see who they have, and get someone that really understands the needs of folks as they, one, get released out of our jail system, or two, just some of the social and economic challenges people face, and how do you address it? How do you make sure people don't get on the path of crime and getting themselves in the criminal justice system? So thank you, Marisa, for all the work you did. I know this was a heavy load. You know, we ask our citizens to participate in a lot of different boards and commissions, but this was really a big load. I know they did several tours and reviews and meetings, and they took a lot of comments. They did a lot of studying. So a big shout out and thank you to the entire board for all the work they did. And I look forward to seeing this move forward and really having a nice discussion around how we move forward, because Supervisor Gates was right on. This is about the future. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo. Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell, would you like to say a few words?
Anyway, I just wanted to let you know how grateful I am for the hard work you did on this. Obviously, all that has been said is true. This is the future, and public safety is not only important to me as a citizen, but it's what I do. And I think with the recommendation and the stature of the people that are serving on this committee, that will really lend to public acceptance of that recommendation. And Matt, thank you so much for stepping in. You know, I wanted somebody that had leadership, business, collaboration, and really embody all of those as well as professionals.
Thank you. Sheriff Skinner, would you like to say a few words?
Here you go, sir.
I may have the same problem with the podium. No, see? There you go. Yes. Chairman, board members, I want to thank you for having the foresight and initiative to bring this to the forefront of the table of what needed to be done relative to forming a committee to look at recommendations relative to a very important and complex matter, which obviously is not just our jail system, but is public safety. Maricopa County has grown immensely. We have a lot of complexities, being the fourth largest sheriff's office and fourth largest jail system. But not only that, our judicial system, our probation department, our mental health, our other complexities that our community deals with. So thank you for having the foresight to push this forward. To the members of the Public Safety Funding Committee, I want to thank you all. All of you are very, very much appreciated to stand up and help us in looking at all the details relative to this and every angle. And we couldn't have done this without you. And I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to volunteer and help out with this important measure that's going to impact our community for years to come. If we don't have this, and if this does not go forward, there is serious, doubt in my mind that we will be scrambling to see what we can do to help not only our inmates, but the services that we offer as a county. So thank you very much for stepping up. Your recommendations are spot on, certainly in concurrence with that. We have evolved as public safety and law enforcement, even the jail system, to look at, again, those complexities of mental health, addiction issues, and the list goes on and on and on. it's changed over the last decade, even since those last tax has, been implemented. So we need to be able to improve our services to give our community what it needs. And it does start at the beginning, hopefully keeping people out of jail, keeping that recidivism down, and making sure that we're getting them on the back track or back on the right track to re-enter our community as good members of our community to help support our community as we continue to grow. So again, on behalf of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, every entity under the county that does touch this in some way, thank you very much. Look forward to hopefully seeing this on the initiative on the ballot here in a year, and hopefully we continue to be able to support our needs for our community. And Dr. Nagel, I want to thank you personally too as being our representative to step up, because I know it's not an easy task to say, hey, we're going to take on, providing information relative to this, but I know it was a lot of work, a lot of devoted time, so thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheriff. And Judge Welty is out of town, so he couldn't be here today, but I am just so impressed and pleased that we had such diverse representation on this board. We ensured that, we were covering every area that this impacts. And again, I thank you so much. We're going to pause now to take some pictures, and we will resume our business after we complete the photos.